Hey, I'm Jon Thelen. Today on Fish Ed, we're fishing some midsummer walleyes. We're pulling spinners today, and we're gonna pull spinners because these fish have slid out off the edge of structures now. Now they're looking at the deepest water in the lake, and now's the time to want to cover some ground and give them something to trigger them. And the reason they're out there is they don't gotta be up on structure anymore. There's so much bait in the lake now, the water's warmed up. There's bait from that end to that end to that end to that end. There's no reason for them to have to be up on structure. So now's the time we go look for them out in a little bit deeper water off the edges. Stay right where you're at. Fish Ed's coming up. There he is. Got him. There's a lot of fish right on this little tip right here. And one of the best ways to get them when you're fishing for fish that are stacked up on a little spot is to just run circles around them with spinners. But there's something we're doing different today. Is these fish, they're all deep. They're all off the edge of the structure. So part of the reason that I'm choosing to pull spinners is because I'm having to cover some ground to find each little pod. And right here there's a pod, but the spinners allow me to move a little bit quicker. That's a big fish. When these fish get out off the edges like this, midsummer, a lot of times it's hard to get out of that routine of wanting to be on top of structure. But I'll tell you what, if you're willing to do it, fish like this one right here that we got on, they're willing to bite even though they're out of ways. And if you can just get them figured out, just get an area figured out. Oh yeah, it's a big walleye. Look at this one, it's a giant. Look at this, what a way to start the day. That is a giant. That fish is probably 28 inches. Look at that. Got himself unhooked right in the net. What a giant fish. That's what you can do with spinners, and that's what we're gonna talk about today, is fishing out off the edges. Fishing in areas where fish like this spend their summers because they're not necessarily right up on top with all those smaller fish. Look at that, what a giant eye. What an awesome way to start the day. Let's get this one back in the water. Get the lines back in and we'll see what we can do about getting another one caught. That's awesome. There she goes. Wow, that is an awesome way to start a day. Let's get baited back out and get some more of those. Man, that is so cool when you can get dialed in on fish that are doing what these fish are right now. It's just living out off a structure because they're still willing to eat like that one was. Let's see if we can do that again. There's one. Got him. You know, this fishing at this time of the year can almost get a little frustrating too, because early in the year we're so, and when I say early, I'm talking through June, we're so tuned in and taught over the years, including myself, that what I'm supposed to be doing, oh geez, what I'm supposed to be doing is I'm supposed to be fishing up on structure. But what we're doing now at this time of the year, I'm actually getting away from it. Good eater size fish here. I'm gonna get this guy in here, set that weight down. Now I'm actually kind of getting off to the side of it, getting away from it. And there's a reason for that. What's happened is up on top, there is all kinds of stuff going on now. And a lot of times as the year wears on, smaller fish start invading these mid-lake mud type areas, structure areas. It's a great eater walleye if we're keeping fish, but we're not here today, so we'll get him thrown back. But what's happening here is these fish have so much to eat up there on top. They'll eat up there fast, and then they'll go down the edge. And once they get down that edge, they'll lay there. That's kind of their resting point, but they can also eat out there, because you got to understand that now a lot of what's happening is those minnows that were all in on the shoreline, now they're coming offshore. Now they're working their way out here. So there is food that is abundant everywhere. But the other thing I'll tell you is up on top of your structures now, there is so much food up there that it's really, really hard to stand out. So this is one of the reasons that I really like fishing areas just off the edge, just on the deep side of it, because there's fish out there that aren't necessarily actively eating all the time like they might be when they're up on top, but their time on top is less than it's ever been all summer so far, because those fish come up, they eat so quick because there's so much there, then they head down. So what we're trying to do is just trigger strikes working around this area. And as long as we just keep working around seeing fish on the graph, they're easy to see when you get out here. I mean, they're a piece of cake to pick out, but you get a chance to trigger a bite from a fish that isn't up there with his choice of a zillion different minnows. Let's get baited up. We'll get back at it. Pull right back up to that edge. There's one right there. Look at that. Just pick the rod out of the holder just to check that depth, and you hit it. Look at that. Feels like a decent fish too. Huh. You can tell it's Friday. A lot of people are running around right now. I mean, there's boats going every direction, and a lot of that's just everybody's so tuned in to looking at the tops of those structures, and a lot of these fish, they've just left the tops. They've left the tops and they're on the outer edge. Great eye. Come here. Come on. Great fish. Look at that. Another great walleye. Man, I'll tell you the other thing too is I just love spinner fishing because it's aggressive fishing, and I'm a big believer in fishing aggressively as much as I can, and in fishing with a spinner, it's actually a really aggressive tactic. It allows me to cover ground. I'm flying. I'm going 1.3. I'm moving fast. I'm getting fish to bite that might not otherwise bite. That's a great eye right there. I take that all day long. 17, maybe pushing 18 inches. Great fish. Throw him back, and while I got this in here, let me show you the setup that I'm using, because it's a little bit different. You know, a lot of times when you see me pulling spinners, I'm pulling bottom bouncers, but I'm not doing that right now. Let me explain to you why. Most of what I'm fishing is a really, really clean bottom now at this time of the year, because we're out deep. You know, I'm not fishing today over in the Dakotas where I'm still in 12 feet of water and I'm banging through logs and different things. Right now, I'm fishing deep water, 30 feet of water. I'm fishing out off the edges of stuff, and I'm just in a fairly hard bottom. And realistically, to me, now's the time that I want to be actually a little more stealthy. I don't need that bottom bouncer coming through, ticking off stuff. What I need to do right now is come through there and be as stealthy as I can. So number one, I'm using a 6-foot spinner. This is a Lindy crawler harness, spinner and crawler harness. They come in 6 feet of 14-pound fluorocarbon. So, you know, for those bodies of water now where we got zebra mussels, let me tell you something. These things don't get nicked up. You don't break them, because fluorocarbon is just tougher. But it's also nearly invisible to fish. When you look at this spinner rig, I think this is really cool. You look at that perch-colored spinner right there, and then on the back, we've got chrome. And what that chrome does is flashes off of all these different colors of beads. And that's a big, big deal in my eyes, because a lot of times these fish are following that spinner. They're seeing that bait, they're following it along. Well, you're getting flash, that color of those beads, and then the flash of the blade. And I'll tell you what, it's just a deadly combination. It also comes with a spinner blade that can be taken on and off, so you could change different blades if you want to try different colors. Last thing I'll tell you about this rig, and here's why you buy the Lindy spinner and crawler harnesses. They're a little bit longer in between the hooks, which means I can get this hook just a little further back in that crawler, and if I can get it to the collar of the crawler, or actually behind, let me tell you something, I'm going to hook more fish up. One last thing I'm doing, a little bit different. I was talking a few minutes ago when I started about the bottom bouncer deal. Now what I'm doing is I'm running a 3-way, and because I'm fishing deeper water, I'm using 2 ounces. This is a big, huge bell sinker. This 2-ounce sinker is making it so I can stay at a 45-degree angle, even when I crank it up to 1.3 or so, but it's hanging there on a line, and I'm not dragging it. So this is 9 times out of 10 gonna be below the fish. If the fish are sitting up just a little bit, they're not gonna notice this nearly as much. They don't got that wire down there. It's just a little cleaner setup, and for clear water, I think it's a lot more effective. And it's getting them today. I mean, realistically, day in and day out, those little things that we're talking about like this can make a huge difference and help you catch more fish. There's one right there. Got him. Oh yeah, feels like a pretty solid fish. Man, what a fun day of fishing this has been. Anytime you start a day with a giant like we got this morning, and then you get the chance to just keep catching fish all day like this. Man, and I shouldn't even say all day, all morning. It's going on lunchtime right now. It's another good eye. Ooh, look at this one. What a great way to wrap it up. That's an awesome fish right there. Tell you what, when you hit that point of the year where all of a sudden it seems like all you see up on the top is bait, and all you're seeing up there is walleyes eating something other than your bait, just get out and do this. Man, it's real simple. See that spinner? That's what he wanted to eat. Just get out off the edges. Just go cruising like we are right now, because this is the way to do it. Get away from all that food. Get away from all that bait. Get yourself out off the edge. Get yourself in a spot where there's still walleyes, and you'll see them. They're out here. They're just in rest mode. But you pull a spinner by them and you trigger them, and fish like that, they'll continue to bite all day. That's an awesome walleye to wrap it up with. Get out of here, buddy.